I tell producers the things that they don't want to hear. I had a producer inbox me the other day and asked me how he could prevent his beats from getting stolen. I was very clear. I said, you can't. He was like, what about this? What about this? What about this? You can't. You can't. You can't. You can't. You got to stop overthinking. One of the worst things you can do as a producer for your career is overthink. And I'm saying this because I was someone who overthought everything for years. I never dropped anything. My beats were never done. I was always overthinking them. If it wasn't the sequencing, if it wasn't the actual composition, then it was the mix. Then it was who was going to record over it. I don't want to release beats that end up becoming songs that I'm not 120% in love with. And I never put shit out. And my career was like this. It was a flat line. I'm going to be all over the place. This isn't one of these pretty videos with high production value. This is just a very real video because I see producers overthinking everything left and right. And if you fall into that category, hopefully I can reach you and share my experience and put into perspective what a lot of you are going through right now so you can get the hell out of that situation. Get out of that mentality of overthinking everything. Matter of fact, you don't even have to hear it from me. Southside said it. So let's listen to what Southside has to say.
I'm gonna give you one jewel. Just don't worry about the money. Just worry about your craft and try to do as much music as possible. It'll turn into everything. It'll turn into your whole life. It's just that. Like, worry about the art of it. Like, don't worry about the money. If you worry about the money, you're never gonna get it. Old head taught me that. Stop worrying about the money. That shit just drop in your lap. I swear to God, that's what it does. If you don't worry about that shit and just worry about doing as much records as possible, just working with everybody. That's how I train all my boys.
I don't want to put words in his mouth. How I'm interpreting it is in this more kind of metaphysical way, and I'll tell you what I mean. It has to do with the law of attachment. Now, on a surface level, producers are very attached to their beats. We're attached to a beat that we make to the point where we don't even want to put it out because we feel like once we release it, it's out of our control. We want to control it. We want to make sure that this beat goes to the best possible rapper. We don't want this rapper on it. We want Jay-Z on this. We want rappers that don't even exist on our beat. I mean, consider the scenario that I talked about earlier, the producer, and I was like this too. A lot of producers are like this. They don't want to release beats. They don't want to send beats out. They don't want to even get in studio sessions because what if someone steals my beats? What if someone steals my idea? What if Doja Cat steals my beat? To put it into perspective, think about someone who wants to be the next heavyweight champion and they say, I want to become that, but what if I get punched during training? What if I get hit during sparring? What? You're gonna get hit. I want to be the next gold medal Olympic ice skater, but what if I fall on the ice? You're gonna fall on the ice. I want to be the next big producer. I want to be the number one top selling producer on BeatStars. I want to be the number one top selling producer on Billboard, but I don't want my beats getting stolen. You can't be afraid. You can't be so attached to a specific outcome where you ignore the process and you completely focus on this outcome, this desired outcome so much. It's an outcome that doesn't exist. You want to make beats, control the whole process, start to finish, dictate exactly who's on it, exactly how it's going to be impacted, and guarantee success. No one's stealing your beats. No one's giving you any sort of adversity along the way. That doesn't exist. Let me just show you what I mean. Like, hopefully this website explains it. In detachment lies the wisdom of uncertainty. In the wisdom of uncertainty lies the freedom from our past, from the known, which is the prison of the past conditioning, and in our willingness to step into the unknown. The field of all possibilities, we surrender ourselves to the creative mind that orchestrates the dance of the universe. I love this line, actually. It's very appropriate for a music maker. Law of attachment is the ability to release the attachment to what we desire to allow our minds and the universe to manifest what it is we truly desire. So Southside was kind of saying that in terms of money. If you're not entirely just focused on making money and you just make the best music possible, then the money's going to come. A lot of people just want to focus on this outcome, whether the outcome is money, whether the outcome is fame, whether the outcome is getting the biggest records, whether the outcome is having a career with no adversity, with no one stealing beats. That's just not how it works. You got to actually experience it and be all right with the process. People want to be the next heavyweight champ, but they don't want to get punched in the face. That's what comes with it. You want to be the next big producer, but you don't want to deal with negative experiences in the music business, stop being so fearful of that. That's not going to stop you. The process is moving you towards the outcome. You're not controlling the outcome. You can control the process and your reaction to it to an extent, but you have to experience it. You have to go through it. So let me stop speaking so abstractly and get into some of the stuff that I've seen. I see so many examples of producers overthinking everything, and it hurts my heart. I don't think this is an example of this might be the wrong screenshot. This is someone just being an idiot. So here, look, I made a video talking about technology that can potentially recognize samples, even if they're hidden, even if they're, half a second long. And here's some, I don't sample because I refuse to use samples and jump through those hoops, deal with sample clearance lawyers and losing ownership. If I avoid the slippery, look at this long ass comment. I'm not even going to read this. I tell you the story after the fact about my very first placement. My very first placement was a sample. I was completely disillusioned with the music business because I sampled a record. I had a lawyer who actually hated sampling. He didn't disclose that to me. He was incredibly unprofessional, in my opinion, given that I now have a bunch of experience in the business. But I'm not going to say anything more than that because the man is no longer alive. So I'm not going to sit here and harbor ill will. I'm just telling you what the situation was. But that experience is not something I regret. It's not something I would do differently because I learned a lot. It got my foot in the door. I got a #1 album. So the advance that I got wasn't high because, again, my lawyer didn't really push for a better deal. However, it was enough for me to buy a computer. It was enough for me to take my production to another level. And that experience pushed me along the way closer to my desired outcome. I'm not going to sit here. Like back then, if I had sat around and been like, okay, I want to sample this Willie Hutch record. It could be a record for Jeezy. It could become #1 on the Billboard charts. It could sell platinum. But I don't know. I don't know. Like the sample clearance, the lawyers, the fees. What if I lose my equity in the record? What if I lose my publishing? What if I lose my writer's share? I can't afford this. This is terrible. I'm so scared. If I had overthought that process, I would not be here right now talking to you, living an amazing life that I'm grateful for every day. You gotta stop overthinking this stuff. The conspiracy theories I see in the producer community, way back, BeatStars had this public investment thing where, and I didn't have the money for it at the time because I had just kind of started with BeatStars. But this guy, I'm not in the special guarded gated community club of the official hip hop. I get what the fuck is he talking about? I find a lot of people, when they aren't living up to their full potential, they're not working in accordance with the goals they have and the expectations they have, they come up with conspiracy theories. I'm not making money in the business because, they don't like people who have beards. You name it. Whatever people are telling themselves, the problem is then they broadcast on the internet and they look crazy. It's like an Alex Jones that no one actually listens to. I'll make this as short as I can. Look how long this shit is. Can you address why these clowns are selling beats for so low? How do you go from a producer like Timbaland getting $300,000 up front plus his so like already this guy's overthinking because he is not Timbaland and you were not there when Timbaland received that advance. You have no idea what this was, if it was a one-time thing, if this was a special case, what that fee entailed. You weren't there. Producers love doing this, just setting up straw men so that they can scare the shit out of themselves. I know Timbaland is rare, yeah, but the price range is so different. What hurt the game is these producers that do everything with crack software. So okay, whatever. Everything is software based, moving notes around with the corny hi-hats. Like, there's just a lot. Let's just go down here. This is what I'm talking about. I refuse to post online due to the amount of thievery. To my songs are copyrighted with the library of, okay. I would prefer to let management connect me to artists if they like my music. And I guarantee you that hasn't happened yet, because that's really not how it works. Everybody and their uncle is doing beats and most are clueless about what they are entitled, which in turn is fucking the market up. Great videos. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, dude, you're just overthinking it, man. What does Timberland have to do with you? What do producers who are pirating FL Studio have to do with you? They have nothing to do with you. They have nothing to do with me, because people have been pirating software for as long as software has existed, and it hasn't affected me. I agree. The opportunity is so much easier. The gatekeeper is pretty much irrelevant, and you can get music out with distribution, which never existed before. You can make. Back to this. 20 years ago, we were getting paid as local producers anywhere from $250 to $500 for a track. You still are. You just have to ask for it. If you're not getting it right now, that's your fault. Producers are in the game not knowing what was being charged, and since they were young, $30 sounded like a lot. They were surprised anyone would pay them. I forget the context of this, but now he's targeting. This was a weird conversation, man. This was a really weird conversation. I don't have I can't do this right now. Hopefully this is motivational. The fact of the matter is, you have to walk through the fire to get through the fire. And that's me being dramatic and metaphorical. It's still, like, you can't tell me making beats is not the greatest job on the planet. Once you get to the point where it's paying your bills, someone can steal my beat. Someone did steal a beat the other day. I dealt with it. That's why I put videos out about how to prevent PayPal chargebacks, because they're going to happen. They're frustrating. I don't like them, but they happen. Sometimes you lose. I've found systems out that allow me to win, and so that's the method that I've shared. When it happens, it feels terrible, but the sun still rises the following day, and you shouldn't lose your passion for making music because someone charged back on a beat that they bought, or someone stole your beat. I mean, there's a very powerful A&R in the music business right now who stole a record from me years ago. I was living with my parents when this happened. I'm in my own house right now. If I had quit because that, and it was devastating to me, because this could have been my shot. This could have been huge. I could have been, a millionaire within a year, maybe. I don't know. It's not worth my energy dwelling on what could have been. But again, I love music so much that situation, as negative as it was and as awful as it felt, didn't stop me from trying to figure out other ways to survive in this music business, because I love making music. I want it to be my job. I don't want to do anything else with my life. And so I'm going to find a way to not do anything else with my life but this. And that's where I am right now. So my advice is, if that's what you want, if you feel what I'm saying, if you're like, yeah, that's me, then figure it out, move forward. There are people like me giving advice and sharing experiences. You're going to have to make your own mistakes. And a lot of times when I share a mistake that I made, people are like, fuck out of here. I'm not listening to that shit. Okay, cool. Go out and make the same mistake. You're still going to learn, hopefully, the same lesson, or maybe even a better lesson. Maybe you'll react better than I did when it happened to me. Maybe you'll find a better way to deal with PayPal chargebacks. Maybe you'll find a better way to deal with, some superstar A&R stealing your beat and completely jerking you on the whole situation. I don't know. If you figure that out, great. Hopefully you share it with the producer community, so the next new producer can learn that mistake, anticipate that mistake in advance. But ultimately the outcomes happen. The process is messy, but the love for what we're doing is going to push us through all of that. And regardless, if you're happy, you're doing what you love doing, and you get to a point where it's actually paying your bills, there's really nothing better than that. The process is going to be rough, but it's also going to be beautiful. And I hope that motivates you, and I hope you don't give up just because of some sort of fear of an outcome that hasn't even happened yet, because of some fear of something that happened along the way in the process that you haven't even experienced yet. You have to experience all of that stuff. Like kids who are afraid to fall off of their bike never learn to ride a bike. You want to be the kid that doesn't know how to ride a bike? No, I don't think you do. So go out and do it. And much success to you. I hope the mistakes that you end up making and whatever learning experiences that you have aren't that bad, and you bounce back from them right away. You're completely resilient. And if not, if you don't, That's okay too. But hopefully you don't give up before you even start. I think that would be an awful outcome. I'm not there in the room with you as you're watching this video, but visualize me putting my hand on your shoulder and telling you that. I don't want you to give up just because you are afraid of something bad happening, because it's never that bad. It's never worth giving up your passion. It's not. Peace.